kulit mo pa.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome po to the 127th episode, 127 episode of the Stop COVID That's webinar series brought to you by the University of the Philippines. Thank you for being part of our credible online community, and to all those who have just discovered us for today, welcome po at sana po marami po kayong matutunan sa ating very special topic na pag-uusapan po sa araw na ito. So, how have you been during the pandemic? Kumusta po kayo? Have you been feeling okay? Or have you been harboring negative thoughts? Maybe an inability to see the future? Masyado po ba kayong irritable or palaging agitated? Nakakatulog po ba kayo ng mabuti or nakakain ng mabuti? and living well. And is this the first time in your life na baka hindi po kayo okay? If it is, and you're experiencing these thoughts and feelings for the very first time, okay lang po yun. In our episode for today entitled, Para Gusto Ko Bumaba, It's Okay Not to Feel Okay, we will be tackling stress and mental health and well-being of health workers and students of the health professions, doctors, nurses, allied medical professions po. I'm Dr. Raymond Francis Sarmiento, Director of National Telehealth Center, National Institutes of Health, University of the Philippines, Manila. Always a pleasure to be with all of you during our regular Friday, and always looking forward to my hosting duties with my partner po and our adjunct research faculty at the National Telehealth Center, Dr. Susie Pineda Mercado. Dr. Susie?
Hi, Raymond. Good afternoon. Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat. Everyone who's listening, we'd like to greet all of you who are on Zoom and also those who are on YouTube or Facebook. I understand the malaking audience natin doon. And we are also on television. We are on channel 101 of Signal.
Signal, yes.
So we are, I think, reaching a larger number of people. We want to greet everyone who's also watching on the playback. And our guests for today are, as usual, we try to bring you the best possible speakers. All right, Dr. JOSEFINA LY-USON, Associate Professor from the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Medicine at UP-PGH. And she will be talking about blazing the trail for wellness at the UP College of Medicine and the Philippine General Hospital. We'll also hear from Dr. Nikki Achenza, Dean of the College of Medicine at Beda University, and efforts that being undertaken there, and Dr. Teresita CADIZ-BRION, former Dean of the College of Public Health at the Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. And of course, our synthesis will be from Dr. STELLA Marie Jose, Deputy Director for Health Operations. And you've noticed that we're always talking about COVID, but sometimes we talk about other outbreaks. We talk about infectious diseases, viruses, and also disasters. But for today, we are going back to the COVID topic and talking about mental health and wellness. But before that, we know that many of you would like to be updated and would like to keep abreast with news here and abroad. It's for this reason that we bring you the news update.
Okay, for our very first news update, according to a US study, the updated COVID boosters, they offer better protection than the original set of vaccines po, no? These updated COVID-19 boosters offer increased protection against the new COVID-19 subvariants in people who have previously received up to 4 doses of the older vaccine. Batay po ito sa bagong datos from the very first study to assess how the retooled shots or boosters are faring in the real world. The findings support the results from the company studies showing that their updated shots produce higher antibody responses, particularly for BA.4 and BA.5 subvariants than the original shots after 1 month. Ito pong pag-aaral na ito, hindi po ito pipitsugin dahil po more than 360,000 people compared yung updated boosters po nila from Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna that target both the original virus and the Omicron BA.4 and .5 subvariants po with their earlier versions of the vaccines po. At matatagpuan po ang pag-aaral na ito sa US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. Dr. Susie?
Thank you very much, Raymond. So, from Reuters, Britain says monkeypox shot offers strong 78% protection. So, according to Reuters, a single dose of the monkeypox vaccine provides 78% protection against the virus based on data that has been released in the United Kingdom that health officials said was the strongest evidence yet of its effectiveness. Monkeypox has remained low, but the World Health Organization considers it as a global health emergency. The new analysis was reviewed for the Bavarian Nordic vaccine in England between July 4 and November 3. Single shot provides 78% protection 14 days after being vaccinated, while a single dose is expected to offer even greater and longer lasting protection, they are thinking about another dose. More than 55,000 doses of the vaccine have been delivered so far, and it is a relatively mild viral illness, but it's endemic in several parts of the world. And there have been 80,000 cases worldwide since the announcement of this global health emergency. And that's our news for today. We'll be back next week with more news on the news update. Okay, we're back. And I think as Raymond was starting to say, it's okay to not feel okay. You know, we're not
Tama, tama.
100% feeling good all the time. And I think our webinar today sort of gives us a little bit of permission, lalo na mga frontliners natin,
Mm.
to be not okay sometimes. It's okay. Okay lang yun. Okay lang kung hindi kayo okay. Diba? Hindi pwedeng 100% tayong fully charged, no? Minsan nalolobat din. Pero anong magandang gawin? How do we cope with that? You know, the World Health Organization reports that at least 25% of healthcare workers have been surveyed to report anxiety, depression, and burnout symptoms. And it is reported that 23 to 46% of healthcare workers reported symptoms of anxiety. So it's almost up to 50% anxiety during the COVID-19 pandemic. Burnout among healthcare workers has been very high at 41 to 52% in pooled estimates. So while the methods for COVID have been increasingly definitive, so we're getting better at treating the illness, I think we're less confident about what we need to do about the parallel pandemic of mental health problems brought about by COVID-19. So, Raymond, let's go to our person on the street.
Thank you so much, Dr. Susie. For those who are joining us for the very first time, we have this what we call person on the street videos po, no? Just to get the pulse of the common folks on the street. For our question for this Pat's video po, no? The question that we pose our interviewees, paano po ba kayo nakakope? How do you cope with stress? Please watch this.
It was really a must to find an effective coping mechanism. And as for me, what worked is that I used my break times wisely. So if I had time to sleep, I usually took naps, a lot of naps.
My way of coping with stress is mainly changing my mindset and how I take in stress. So I make sure not to take myself too seriously or take my failures too hard.
I think the number one that was most beneficial is sleep. And I know every nursing student, every medical student has said this.
I took my time to find things I am passionate about, even though it is completely unrelated to what I'm studying. It was film, it was music. So
the main thing that I really did was talk to my family and my friends virtually. Thank God for technology. And during my free time, I also keep up with my sleep because I rarely get one. And I also did a lot of watching medical series and movies to remind me of the reason why I chose this profession.
I really believe that also prioritizing your mental health, resting, is such a big help for you.
It really helped me take all the stress out, and me and my co-workers are also helping each other out, and that made our workplace a little less toxic.
In addition, I also try to make sure to have a social life outside of med school.
How can you provide the best care for your patient if you don't provide the best care for yourself in the first place? So I think it really starts within us that if we take care of ourselves, then we can take care of other people even better as well.
Through that, I would have some time for myself and my family, and talking to other people or other friends really helps with the stress that you've accumulated throughout the week.
I let myself enjoy those things kahit na nakaka-guilty minsan kasi nga I'm taking my time off studying. But it helped me cope up and it helped me navigate through college life, especially with friends.
So, as long as wala ka sa medical school, hindi ka nakakulong sa school mismo, and you had time to spare, go out, breathe fresh air, kasi kailangan mo talaga yun bago ka bumalik ulit at makulong ulit sa medical school.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, TVUP, for that. I think that puts a lot of things in perspective. No, these are the students themselves talking, Raymond, and I think one of the things that was said was hindi na siya masyadong guilty pagka he's doing what he wants to do, right? I think we've especially for health professionals, no, we teach ourselves to deny ourselves of little pleasures, but I think
Or
what we're saying,
comforts.
comforts. You have permission to live your life, and especially when you're not feeling okay. Sige, Raymond, let's go. I think we are going to look at your housekeeping muna.
Housekeeping rules po. Thank you so much, Dr. Susie. For those who are asking, lalo na po yung mga nag-email po, no, certificates of attendance will be given to those who have watched at least 50% of the webinar duration. So kung may hindi po kayo natanggap na certificate pero qualify po kayo, especially for webinars 1 to 125, please let us know by emailing stopcovidads@up.edu.ph. Yung pong webinar number 126, webinar last week, mayroon pa po kaming konting i-send out, but for the most part, we have already sent out tong mga certificates of attendance. For our webinar for today, we'll be having a standard panel discussion format. We'll have our main speakers presenting. We'll hear from our reactors, followed by a Q&A session po. Ano po? So that is essentially what we have been doing in the past, and binalik lang po natin, at least for today, yung ating format.
So before we go into the webinar, Raymond, meron tayong ako mag-Q nun. Anyway.
Go ahead.
Sige. So we have our little fun quiz and a fun intro.
Hello.
Kumusta na kayo lahat?
Hi, I'm Doc Susie, the mini Doc Susie.
And I'm Doc Radar, the mini Doc Raymond. Are you ready to have fun? Simply open your browser to www.slido.com and enter your code to participate. We will discuss your answers during the panel discussion later on in the program.
We will have it flashing on your screen in a bit, and we look forward to your answers. Masaya at madali lang ito. Join na!
Okay, thank you so much, TVUP. So, may we have po, okay, there we go. Pero sa Zoom po, sana po lumabas po siya ang ating window of the poll. For those who are outside of the Zoom naman po and you want to participate, lalo na po, nanonood po sila sa YouTube or sa Facebook, please open up your browsers and type in slido.com. And then when you are prompted, enter the code 5405717. It's 5405717 for you to be able to participate in our fun quiz. Meron po tayong, at least for our first question for today, ano po ang 3 goals? What are the 3 goals of the wellness program na meron po tayo sa UP? Is it promoting mental health and wellness? Is it preventing mental illness and burnout? Is it interventional to facilitate access to mental health services? Or lahat po ba ito na nabanggit? Dalawa lang po ang ating katanungan for today. So for ito po yung first of 2 questions, and we'd like to greet those who are joining us from the La Consolacion University of the Philippines, Malolos, Bulacan, Mactan Doctors Hospital in Lapu-Lapu City in Cebu, Eastern Visayas Medical Center in Tacloban City, St. Elizabeth Hospital in General Santos City, DOH CHD, Northern Mindanao, Cagayan de Oro, Misamis Oriental. Meron din po nag-greet from the House of Representatives joining us, tanghaling tapat. From Bataan, our regular po, no, Joseph Ermitanyo from Dept, the Alicia South District Schools Division of Isabela, Regional Office of Tuguegarao in Region 2. There are those also joining us coming in from Los Baños, Laguna, from Ozamis City, from Cavite. Meron din po from, mamaya na yung mga international po natin, meron po tayong mga from Philippine General Hospital, obviously from the University of Santo Tomas. From Tuguegarao, thank you so much. Those who are joining us po, no, from the University of Santo Tomas Hospital Otorhinolaryngology, Head and Neck Surgery, Endoscopy Unit, and the Center for Kidney Diseases. Thank you so much. Those who are also watching us from Marilao, Bulacan, and the University of Rizal System Health Services Unit. Question number 2. Ang question number 2 po natin, which of the following are important resources for a wellness program? Ito po, marami pong tamang kasagutan. No? So pili po kayo ng mga tama. Ang mga options po ninyo, psychologist, spiritual director or priest, imam, pastor, faculty, wellness champions, mentor, kapwa estudyante po ninyo, kasamahan, ang inyong mga magulang o ang inyong pamilya po. Okay? We'd like to greet those who are joining us o may humabol from Pasay City and PGH Medical Records Division, OPD admitting. From Baguio City, sana po malamig po dyan. Internationally, we are being joined by those who are viewing us from the Chuanin Hospital in Taipei City, Taiwan, Nguyen Thai Hoc Polyclinic in Vietnam, Almeswak Dental Clinics in Taif, Saudi Arabia. Very first time po yun. University of Hail in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Lunichi Ali University of Blida II in Algeria. University of Fiji in Lautoka, Fiji, and Los Angeles, California. And KBR Diego Garcia in United States. Hindi ko po alam kung saan yun, pero maraming salamat po for joining us. So we'll not be closing po muna itong fun quiz. So we can encourage more to participate as we move on to our webinar proper. Dr. Susie?
Thank you very much, Raymond. So we go to our main discussant, and we'd like to welcome our presenter, Chair of the UP College of Medicine Student Resiliency and Wellness Committee, and the advisor of the PGH Welcome Program. Let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Josephine LY-USON. Dr. Jojo is Associate Professor from the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Medicine. Dr. Jojo, welcome to the webinar.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for that, Doc Susie and Dr. Raymond.
Yes, please go ahead with the
Yes,
presentation.
please go ahead.
Sige. Let me just share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, that's perfect.
Yes, okay po, okay.
So again, good afternoon to everyone. It is really a pleasure to be here. First off, I would like to thank, of course, the very vibrant and engaging and really hardworking TVUP team for this invitation. It is really an opportunity for me also to give my pitch, and they have allowed me, of course, to share my experience in creating wellness programs at the college, UPCM, and at the Philippine General Hospital. So I think you've heard it oftentimes earlier, how mental health and wellness is really a buzzword, even among our students and our trainees and practically everyone. So it's a universal buzzword. And more so during the pandemic, where we saw that the rise really and the mental health conditions really rose to its all-time high during the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, even beforehand, students and even frontliners, healthcare workers have already been experiencing a lot of mental health problems and concerns. So we hope that for this very brief presentation, we'll be able to share with you how we created the wellness program at the UP College of Medicine and also how we created it at the Philippine General Hospital. Okay, so this is just my brief outline. Okay, so for Marvel fans out there, I think you might know Doctor Strange, but before Doctor Strange became Doctor Strange, the superhero, he was actually a neurosurgeon who figured in an accident after he has had long ORs and then went home and then did not get enough sleep, only to get another call, and then on his way to the hospital, he met his accident. So this is very typical story in our lives as doctors, where, as you heard earlier, sometimes we grapple with sleep deprivation, long hours at work, and practically not being able to do the other activities in our life aside from the professional work. So During the COVID pandemic, we know that we were hailed, no, the doctors, especially the frontliners, were hailed as heroes. But, we are not superheroes, and we really are human beings, and we need to care for ourselves very well in order to be able to care for our patients and to continue doing our work. So I hope that we do not forget that. So as I iterated earlier, the prevalence rates of healthcare workers, depression, anxiety, and burnout really was on the rise during the pandemic. So the WHO reports that there is about 20 to 37% of healthcare workers who experience depression, and even higher than that, those who are grappling with fear and anxiety, about 23 to 46%. And burnout rates rose up to 41 to 52%. Here at the PGH, we were also able to conduct a study, and this was done by a doctor and a nurse at the Department of Medicine, and it was a very good study that won several prizes. And we see here that those who are at risk and had frank burnout also reached a percentage of about 60%. That means they were already disengaged, ineffective in their work, and overextended in their training period. So you can just imagine how even these local rates matched what has been seen globally. You may be familiar also with Medscape, and Medscape comes up with yearly burnout and depression rates, no? And they came out recently with this 2022. And let us take a look at the rates of burnout in the different specialties. So hanapin nyo na dyan which ones you belong to. And you can just see that although the range is from 26 to 60%, a good majority actually have 40% to 60%, no, with those in the Department of Emergency Medicine topping the list. So that means the reality is physicians are getting burnt out in this line of work that we are doing. But we don't want to normalize burnout and say, oh, it's really something that happens to all doctors, no? We want to effectively try to counter it because our work need not take a toll on our mental health. Now, what about the medical students' mental health? So we mentioned that of the physicians and clinicians. Now, even during the pre-pandemic days, there were studies that have shown, there's a systematic review of 195 studies where 135,000 students participated, coming from 47 countries. And we see here that almost 30% suffered from depression. And among those who screened, only 15% sought help. So this is a very, very low number considering that depression is a treatable condition. So even if they do develop the condition, it's very important that they seek help for it so that they can recover and become optimally functional given the very important line of work that they are doing. So during the pandemic, this was also noticed in several countries that did some studies. So in Japan, about 30% earlier on in the COVID pandemic, they already reported psychological distress. And then in Australia, up to as high as 68% reported deterioration in their mental health and well-being. So these results are actually very close to the results that we also get at the college. We did surveys in 2020 and 2021, and we saw that it is up to 50% that the students are experiencing depression and anxiety. All right, so what are the stressors during the pandemic and even now as we are moving to some kind of normalcy? But we know that the normal will not be the same again. And so even during the pandemic, we know that our medical students have been struggling with a heavy academic workload. This is something that is really known even from before because it's very rigorous to be in medicine. in medical school, and then there are really tons and tons of work and a lot of TMI, so too much information sometimes. And students struggle with this. That's why they have very limited time to sleep also. During the pandemic, there was lack of social interactions, lack of physical activity because they were studying online, and most of the time they were at home. And there was also inadequate learning due to less clinical exposure. There was also an economic downturn leading to financial stressors in many families. And there was, as usual, difficulty in work-life balance, which is something that was also mentioned a lot by the students earlier in the POTS. So there continued to be a lingering anxiety due to the pandemic situation, given that there had been unexpected or some predicted surges that were happening. And so there were just so many changes happening throughout the past 2.5 years already. And now, as we are adjusting to the hybrid mode of learning, again, this new introduction will also pose and can pose some stressors to our students. Not just medical students, but I am also sure those in the allied medical professions. Okay, so this is just a graph that shows the contributors to burnout among healthcare workers. That was also seen in the Medscape study. So we can see here that a lot of admin work and bureaucratic tasks is something that they often identify as a contributor to their stressor. Lack of respect from staff, lack of respect also from patients. Again, this is very apparent, too many hours at work, lack of control and autonomy over their lives, And then some, if that they're not getting enough or adequate salary, this is a problem, and it is something that affects job satisfaction. Sometimes when some of the healthcare workers got sick and they were not given subsidy, of course, here in PGH, we try to offer them subsidy, especially if they have been infected with COVID-19. And with the increasing computerization of practice, so we have the EMRs, the electronic medical records, which are meant to make things easier. But then this introduction even is already a source of stress for them. So hopefully this is just during the transition period and that things will get better over time. But clearly, locally and even internationally, this has been seen to be a problem. So there are also government regulations that become a problem and a stressor. And as we can see here, less and less stress is coming from COVID-19, especially since this is a more recent study where establishments have already opened up and then many people are already able to go out. So with these stressors in mind, both in the colleges where the students are studying and also in the hospital where healthcare workers are practicing, what are we supposed to do and what can we do? It is but timely that the Philippine mental health law was ratified and promulgated in 2018. So this is just before the pandemic came out, but of course the IRR has just recently come out. So this is otherwise known as Republic Act 11036. And I want you to focus just on the last objective here, because this will be the focus also of our talk, which is to integrate strategies promoting mental health in educational institutions, the workplace, and in communities. So what we're doing is already mandated by the law. So we are encouraged, if not really prompted, to really focus on the mental health and the well-being of the constituents in all the institutions and agencies where we belong in. So, all right. So with that, I'd like to show you how the UPCM wellness program, which is it's a holistic and a collaborative program that also started even before the pandemic. It was really designed to target the following goals. So as you saw in the fun quiz earlier. So primarily here at the base, why is it at the base? Because we're reaching out to everyone. No one is an exception. So we want to promote resilience, well-being in our students, and also to maintain a good work-life balance while they are in training. So much as we are in this profession, it is not the only role that we play in life. So we want to make sure and ensure that the other aspects of life, including the academic, the clinical, is of course taken care of. So this is promotive of mental health and well-being for everyone. And up the line, we go, what are we trying to prevent? No, so we want to prevent mental health conditions or mental illnesses, and of course burnout, which is very high, as we have seen in the statistics earlier, because this has been seen among medical students and also in physicians. So preventing burnout. And then for those who are needing interventions, so we want to provide access to mental health care services. So this is how these 3 levels are targeted by the program. Okay, so initially we had to conduct a health needs assessment to find out the needs of the students also. And of course, given that we want to prevent burnout, it's very important that we coordinate with the Office of the Academic Development, with faculty coordinators, module coordinators, course coordinators, faculty members, and also the mentoring committee, because they are very much in touch. No? So each student at the college belongs to a particular mentoring group, and there is a faculty or alumni mentor who is with the group. And so they are very much in touch with the students. And then we also coordinate with the student council, the class presidents, and the mental health committee heads of each class. And with this, we try to organize wellness activities, which is tailored to the needs of the students. During the launch of this program, we also asked for volunteer wellness champions per level and department. So we gathered them, and of course, with that core group, we would design and establish or organize activities. Okay, so what are examples of the wellness activities, both in the pre-pandemic days and even afterwards? No, so we had mindfulness-based stress reduction sessions. There was an inter-class fitness challenge, and we made this into a competition between among all the LUs, no, from year level 1 all the way up to year level 7. We hold now that face-to-face is already allowed. There will be a movie showing coming very soon. In fact, that is next week. We've also held expressive and movement therapy sessions and Qigong sessions. We were also able to take a class to the Pinto Art Museum on a field trip. This is really to tap the humanistic side and arts and culture, no, for our students. And then we held a mental health hybrid conference where we discussed culture and curricular changes that we hope to develop in our college, so that the students will have a better balance, no, of their ACADS, and at the same time being exposed to the other important aspects of life. Mental health first aid as well, and then transitioning from online to blended learning. These were the topics. And you heard from the students earlier how important it is to have breaks. So we have wellness breaks or reading breaks. So these are just pictures to show, no? We took a class to Pinto Art Museum, and they really had a very good time. Dr. Kwanang was the museum owner, was very delighted to have them, and even gave us a guided walking tour, no? And then you see here students performing Qigong with an instructor who happens to be a pathologist as the guide. And we also have here the artworks and also the activities during the expressive and movement therapy, which aims to do self-exploration and self-discovery among the students through, by these artwork, and also by performing some physical activities in class. Okay, so pre-pandemic, and then moving on to the pandemic times, no, we had to switch as well to virtual activities, where we had webinars on time management, the impact of sleep on learning, a spiritual webinar that was given by a priest in Italy, who was a former student of the college also. And then we had a talk show on resiliency and wellness, which was given by alumni who would share their practices from how they coped back during their times when they were medical students as well. And then the fitness challenge activity, where the students' workouts and exercises were showcased. And then we made this into a competition. So you see here how the students were benefiting from the exercise and you really utilizing their time, for self-care. And it's a win-win situation. So we emphasize that everyone was a winner in this particular challenge. So what are the screening and interventional measures that we give? No? So mental health assessments are also given. Here we have the DAS-21. This is a 21-item self-report questionnaire, which measures depression, anxiety, and stress levels. We also have the mental help seeking attitude scale to find out how they are motivated to seek help for their concerns. And the interpersonal communication skills inventory to find out how they are able to communicate properly. And for our screening tests, we also give PHQ-9, which is for depression, mood disorder questionnaire, which is for bipolar depression, and depression as well, and then generalized anxiety disorder 7. So these are all self-report questionnaires and they are easy to answer. And then we have here the mental health referral pathway at the college. I will not go into the details of that. It is just showing that for the interventional aspect, it's very important to help the students access mental health services. And we want to do it in a timely manner. And we also encourage them to do early intervention. So this is the PubMat of our guidance counselor. We have a dedicated guidance counselor in the college, as well as the other colleges of UP Manila. They also have psychologists there who they could approach. And then further, they are seen at the health service, and if needed, they are referred to the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Medicine. So off to the UP-PGH wellness program, and this was launched after we did the UPCM wellness program. But way back, even pre-pandemic, we already had started wellness programs with the Department of Medicine. So this was back in 2018. So this was really the initiative of the director even during that time. And this was done through the Office of the Deputy Director of Health Operations, Dr. Stella Jose, and of course, the assistant to the DDHO for training, which is Dr. Dion Sakdalan. So together, we launched the hospital-wide wellness program for trainees back in June 2021. So that was middle of last year. And we tried to align this, of course, with what we are doing at the college, the UPCM wellness program, because the students are also here rotating in the hospital with us. And of course, we saw that very huge need among our trainees, the residents and the fellows. And of course, this is in the hope that it can be spread around so that even staff members, faculty members, and consultants are included, everyone, because wellness is indeed for everyone. So again, it's a holistic, collaborative program that also aims to establish a nurturing, healthy, and safe training environment and work environment. We know how our residents are really taking care of our patients. So if they are able to take care of themselves, then they can provide quality care to our patients. So really, it's a win-win situation for everyone. But if they get very burdened a lot, then even their work and work of caring for patients can suffer. So this is how we can look at this model to encourage everyone to really look after their health and well-being. So we know how difficult it is not to reach out to the entire hospital, and we have 18 departments in the hospital. So we started out with department-specific wellness programs for each of the 18 departments. So we encourage them to do this in their own niches so that wellness is promoted even in their units, And of course, in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Medicine, we provided them with partners so that in case they have any questions or concerns about their trainees, their staff, any needs from the department, then they can partner with us and let us know how we could further assist them. All right, so our pitch really is that anyone who advocates for wellness and mental health can be a wellness champion. So wherever you are, you can actually do this. So how did we set it up? So we first started with a health needs assessment survey that had these components in. So there's also a data privacy consent so that those who answer the survey will know that the results will really use for the promotion of the program. And so there is DAS-21 and a brief COPE questionnaire. There are questions on lifestyle, health parameters, habits, nutrition, sleep, etc. And then we ask questions about their mental health stressors and their sources of stress, and what kind of support that they want from the PGH admin and also from their department. So based on this health needs assessment survey, we tailored activities, that would address the promotive aspect of mental health, the preventive aspect, and also the interventional aspects of health. And then we hope that there will be an evaluation scheme after evaluating the feedback, giving feedback for the activity, and then of course the overall program. And this is how we encourage the different departments to do this for their respective units. Okay, so this is just how the Google form looks, no? So one of the things that we have learned from the pandemic really is how the ease of doing things online can be done. We do just have to encourage respondents to answer, no? So these are the important parts and sections of the Google form that is meant to assess their health needs. So you heard from the students also earlier, about their lifestyle and how they give importance to sleep, give importance to their social life. So we asked about these aspects in their life. So eating habits, what maintenance meds they are on, if they are taking supplements, what is the frequency and amount of time that they would spend in exercise, how many hours of sleep do they actually get as healthcare workers, and what is the quality of their sleep? Are they also using or turning to substances? And are they also tapping their religious side, or their spirituality? So how much time do they spend in these religious activities? So I put this here because these are the questions that are pertaining to the possibility of how we could prevent burnout. So we want to find out how and what they are experiencing wherever they are. So if it is in the hospital, if it is in the wards, and then what their current stressors are, what could be affecting them. And then we want to know how the admin can actually help them with administrative issues, if they are having problems with these, if they are having problems also with hospital policies. So to try and see how we could address these. If there are certain facilities or setups that need to be changed, some of them, for example, were hoping for better internet connection in the hospital since many of the activities have gone online. So that's just an example. And then how the department in their respective units can also contribute to the improvement of their well-being, and how satisfied are they in terms of the support that they are getting from their units and from the hospital. So we mentioned the scales for mental health assessment, which include the DAS-21, which I mentioned earlier. So 7 items on depression, 7 items on anxiety, and 7 items also on stress, for a total of 21 items. So it's very easy. And then from the link, which is Site Tool, that's PSYTOOL. It's a link that immediately gives the interpretation of the results also. So we ask them to remember what their scores are for depression, anxiety, and stress. And then apart from that, we also give the brief COPE scale. Not so brief because it's actually 28 items, but basically we want them to answer this honestly in order to find out if they are utilizing the approach way of coping or the avoidant way of coping, which is the less healthy and passive way of coping, if it is avoidant. So that is also extracted from or interpreted from the test results. Okay, so we asked them what activities would they like for their department wellness committee to organize for them. So we held some surveys, and topping the list really is mentoring programs. So we wanted to encourage all the 18 departments to try to boost their mentoring programs for the trainees, and stress pulse surveys for them to be more self-aware of their mental health state at any point in time that they are answering these pulse surveys. So at least when they read the items, they can have a feel of what it is that they are experiencing at the time, because sometimes because of burnout or being at risk for burnout, they already become disengaged and sometimes apathetic and some can be suffering also from compassion fatigue. So we see here from the activities, aside from the stress pulse surveys and the mentoring program, there could be psychosocial processing. These are the other activities: grief management, anger management, goal setting and time management, mindfulness based sessions, fitness challenge to encourage them to exercise, yoga, tai chi, Zumba, and other therapies that are available, like plant therapy, music therapy, art therapy. There are baking sessions that are even done, and cooking sessions also. I know anesthesia does this, and we've had game nights also in psychiatry, and then we also have wellness breaks, no, for our trainees. And so these are just pictures showing the activities that we've had, both at the hospital-wide level and department-specific levels. No, so this one we held it with all the departments, and then this one is for IM, Department of Medicine. They had a fitness challenge, and there was also money prizes involved provided by the department, and then lectures on goal setting and time management, which was requested by the trainees themselves. No, and this is for anesthesia. They also have a very good and engaging wellness program in anesthesia. So they had talks on skincare, aromatherapy, with essential oils, and also talk on gender sensitivity. And they also have huddle boards in anesthesia. So toxicology, ORL, Department of Medicine, Family and Community Medicine, all of them, they have these wellness programs which are geared towards facilitating and promoting wellness among their trainees and their staff. So this is just a photo of the collaborative meetings that we've been having. This is with Department of Medicine. So this is just showing the psychiatric assessment and care clinic for trainees. So this is for the interventional side. I'm not going to go through the details of this very busy slide. I just wanted to show it so that in your particular institutions, if you provide a pathway for those who are in need, it will facilitate access to mental health service. So wherever you are, try to get to know where you could find psychiatrists, let's say in your towns or in your provinces or in your hospitals, of course, so that they can seek help in a timely manner. We know that there can be complications that happen when mental health conditions are not addressed earlier on. And we know that even suicide can happen. So this is something that we also hope to prevent, especially when we are doing these wellness programs. So moving forward, there is a need really to acknowledge the toll that the pandemic and its aftermath is taking on the well-being and mental health of healthcare workers and students. Support can be provided at any level, be it at the college, be it at the department or hospital or their place of practice. And both UPCM and PGH wellness programs are targeted towards the promotion of well-being and resilience, prevention of burnout and psychological distress, and interventions for those with mental health conditions. Curating a wellness program can be based on the needs of the constituents and the resources available. Now, let us promote the culture of wellness, respect, and inclusivity wherever we are. So together, let us build a safe, nurturing, healthy, and compassionate work and learning environment. And of course, we want our physicians to be happy healers and healthy humans as they are delivering care for everyone and the patients. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Jo LY-USON from the Philippine General Hospital. Jo, you'll see the appreciation of
Thank you.
of our audience, both in the chat and the emoticons. I think you really gave a very good description of exciting things that you're doing. How I wish I was a medical student when that was all happening. But and also I think you referred people to certain screening materials. Palakpakan naman natin si Dr. Jo. Uy, wala pa tayong palakpa.
Sound sa ayan.
Salamat.
Okay. So some are asking for your for copies of the presentation, particularly in relation to assessment forms, how to interpret, etc. So I think for our audience, while Dr. Joy is here, please engage with her in the Q&A box and the chat box. All right, Raymond, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jo and Dr. Susie. So just to remind everyone po, no, we'll be choosing from the questions yung mga upvoted po natin, especially for those na medyo interesting. Those will be the ones that we will be likely to choose, not just in the Zoom, but also in the comment section ng Stop COVID Deaths or TVUP Facebook pages and YouTube channel. Okay. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you our reactor po, no? Very familiar dahil bisita lang niya po sa atin dito po sa webinar na ito very recently. He's the Dean of the College of Medicine in Beda University. Let's listen to a video prepared by Dr. Nikki Achenza, or as we know him, Dean Nikki.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Dr. LY-USON, for having provided us with a broad perspective regarding our role as educators in maintaining mental health and wellness of our students. You know, the pandemic and the closure of our campus at Beda had a diverse range of effects on both the faculty and students coming from the different levels. Our first-year medical students who entered in academic year 2021 hardly knew each other. They came from more than 20 different schools and pre-med programs and found themselves all together in a full online course, attending by Zoom. The majority of our students who were facing a full online course did not know each other. And so 50% of them came from outside Metro Manila. And most of them, if not all, had never been to the Mindiola campus. In contrast, many of our second year and fourth year to third year and fourth year students were staying in dormitories and apartments during the lockdown. Although gadgets and computers and the internet connection was not too much of a problem, the home environment itself was often not conducive to learning. Students had difficulty attending online classes from home because they had other duties to attend to. And the load of information that was delivered online always seemed too much for the students, even though the course content had been reduced drastically. Now, let me share some slides regarding this point. So, Beda University provided us with programs to address mental health and wellness for the faculty, for the students, as well as for the parents. So the university, through our guidance office, provided programs to address mental health and wellness, initially directed to the parents of our grade school and high school students, and later on, this extended to the parents of our medical students. The faculty of the College of Medicine also had sessions on mindfulness and the road to wellness provided by our expert colleagues from overseas. Again, this was also offered to the students. Then a series of webinars entitled Strong Mind, Brave Heart, and Undaunted Spirit gave attention to the spiritual aspects of health and well-being. And we benefited a lot from the pastoral care provided by the Benedictine monks of Beda University. And the faculty continued to receive guidance on how to support our students in an online learning environment. So while we were delivering a full online course for a whole school year, we had to set limits to the amount of online activities to be given, especially for lectures. So we also had a few academic breaks, but as soon as we were granted permission during the next year, we returned to our face-to-face sessions. Now, the school reopening brought new challenges as we all dealt with distancing, preventive measures, how to conduct examinations. All of this gave stress to our students. Yet they were highly appreciative of the efforts taken by the school to continue teaching them in spite of the limited time available. The key factor in addressing student mental health and wellness was to show the students that the faculty is available for them. It was a transformation of the faculty that led to open communications with students through text messaging, Viber groups, online small group discussions, then led later on regular town hall meetings and feedback sessions. Compared to the previous years, we now see our faculty directly involved in teaching our students skills such as history and PE, exposing them to telemedicine, and various other essential skills training. Admittedly, it became more toxic for some faculty, but it is clear that this will remain as a clear beneficial effect on education. The faculty can no longer be limited to giving lectures or conducting patient rounds. They must be fully engaged in the teaching and the learning and the mentoring of our students. We did conduct feedback sessions, and in fact, we did a mixed methods analysis of online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. And a few things became very, very clear to us. Without the student-to-student interactions and faculty-to-student interactions, as well as faculty-to-faculty peer communication, learning will be very difficult. We cannot just leave our students to access the course through an LMS online. And in my opinion, here at San Beda, it was the faculty that changed and had stepped up to achieve more skills in training, to become more digitally equipped for the coming years ahead. And this is something that we will look forward to in the future. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Dr. Nikki Achenza, who is Dean of the San Beda College of Medicine, and he's just joined us in Zoom, so he'll be with us for the Q&A. For our next reactor, we are very fortunate to have with us another person who was with Nikki the last time he was online, and she is faculty of Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila, former Dean of the College of Public Health. Let's welcome Dr. Teresita CADIZ-BRION. Techi, go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody, colleagues and friends. Thank you very much for allowing me to share with you the experience of Pamantasan ng Lungsod ng Maynila. I'm just having a little bit of difficulty here.
Sige, go ahead lang, Techi. Don't worry. Just go ahead. Just go ahead. Just go ahead with the screen share. Sige lang.
Oo. Hindi siya nagsi-share yata.
Hindi po. You can stop it po, then relaunch it din.
Okay. How about that? Is it okay now?
Hindi pa rin din kayo nakikita.
How about that?
Hindi pa
Wala
rin.
pa po.
Let's try again.
Can you see it now?
No.
No?
Wala pa po.
Wala pa po. Wala pa po.
Wala pa.
Yeah, you get there. Just take a deep breath. Kasi nasa wellness tayo, di ba? Hindi tayo magpapastress.
Di ba na-try na natin kanina? Pero bakit kaya?
Just relax. You get it. You find it.
Ayaw
kanina meron ng konti pero ayaw nakalagay.
Magtuloy. Magtuloy.
Yeah, so I will just share screen again. And
okay, so there we go. See? Ayun
okay.
Talagang after a deep breath, go to presentation. from beginning.
Okay. O yan, lumabas na rin.
Ay, wala siya sa slideshow,
Not yet
Raymond.
in the presentation view po.
Ayun, go to presentation view, the third one from the left. So from beginning, then go to presentation view.
Just a while, ayaw niya kasing Yan, okay na siya?
Hindi pa rin malaki,
It's grayed
Teche.
out eh. It's grayed out po. It's I think.
Why?
How about sa baba? Ano, Raymond? Biglang nakialam eh.
Hindi ko alam kung ano
Raymond, ikaw
nangyari.
magaling yan eh.
I think yung
Raymond.
can you press the one that's next to the 86%, ma'am?
86%.
So to the left of the 86%. Yung po parang window. Para lang lumaki lang siya ng konti, kahit yun lang.
Ano kaya? Stop
Apo,
share.
meron po kayo nakitang parang arrowhead na pakanan, di ba? To the right of it, pindutin yun, ma'am.
Teka lang anuhin ko lang kasi parang ayaw niyang lumabas.
Sige,
Yeah.
Tech, you work on it first. Meanwhile, we're gonna ask the audience to take a deep breath. Sige nga, mag-inhale kayo. Inhale. And exhale.
Yeah.
Try ko muna to na ano.
Yeah, try
Sige
it
po,
now.
sige
Try
po.
it now.
Okay?
Yan, kita na.
Kita po, pero hindi po siya naka-presentation view, ma'am. You're as if you're working on your slides.
Yeah, dito sa akin kasi naka-presentation view siya.
Ay, okay.
Kaya, share screen.
Do it again, Techi. And then just increase the size.
Yan. Slideshow.
Double click. Ayun!
Yun, there we go.
You got it! Okay,
Salamat.
go. Yan na. Game.
Well,
Game.
that stressed me a bit, no?
No, inhale, exhale lang kami dito.
Actually, siguro, yan yung nafe-feel ng mga teachers and students now with virtual learning, no? But anyway, thank you very much for this opportunity to be here, no? And I will start, no, with wellness. It is an active process through which people become aware of and make choices toward a more successful existence. So it's a conscious, self-directed, evolving process so that you can reach your full potential. It's multidimensional, holistic, encompassing lifestyle, mental and spiritual well-being, and the environment. And it is positive and affirming. So, we asked the question, are you well? Kamusta ka? No? And really, we don't know, no, whether a person is indeed well. No? So in the PLM College of Medicine, we launched this project called Kamusta Ka? It used the self-administered PHQ-9 questionnaire that was featured a while ago by Dr. Jojo. This is to pick up the mental health issues of the students, no? And as we know, this is a 9-point questionnaire which is scored, and you have the depression severity is according to the score, so 0 to 4, none, 5 to 9, mild, 10 to 14, moderate, 15 to 19, moderately severe, and 20 to 27, severe. And we did this for all the 3 levels of the College of Medicine, and all this after they have taken this questionnaire, they were all sent to the guidance counselor to know the result. No? This is to ensure that everybody will be seen, and it will take out the possible stress, no, of showing that you are positive, not that you are severe. So everybody is seen, and but those with significant results will be seen more frequently. What happened was the moderately severe and the severe were sent to the guidance counselors and the psychiatrists, no. But the rest, they are just assured that they have no problem, no. At the moment. So this is not really to diagnose, but more to be able to understand the students better. This complemented the mentoring program of the college, no? Since the dean, the college secretary, the mentors of the students became aware of the results, they were also able to closely monitor the students, no, and frequent absences, declining performance, behavioral changes became flags, no, for these mentors, no. Tapos so since there is a way of sort of finding out, no, objectively how they felt, no, this was our way to be able to regularly follow up these students. Often these students also don't know that they have some problems, no? And we know that PHQ-9 is really more for depression, but eventually, no, this became a tool also to see if there are other mental health issues. These were the results, and as you can see, as you go up the year level, the severity of the scores, or that they have reflected by higher scores, were also seen, no? And significantly, yung answer to the question number 9, which was, do you see yourself trying to hurt yourself? It's also going up, no? The scores also go up as you go up from first year to third year. Now, that program should have been continued, no? And it is for first year to third year, and then it should have followed the following years, no? So that we will be able to track the development of each student. However, the pandemic came, so it was not carried out. And we are still trying to look for ways to be able to carry it out right now. And as Dr. Jojo showed earlier, no, we can also do this already virtually also, no, and using Google Forms, no. Now, the stress that was brought about by COVID-19 was real, no, but it also seemed to have brought out not just the worst but also the best in people, no. Stress affects health, that's for sure, no, physical, mental, social well-being. But if we ask ourselves, can stress actually affect wellness, not just health, no? Well, yes, stress can affect wellness, as it can affect one's perspective, dampen one's enthusiasm. It can also negatively influence one's commitment to self-care and achieving one's full potential. So, however, no, the difference is that wellness is a matter of choice. So that means meron tayong magagawa as far as wellness is concerned. No? First, of course, we have to acknowledge that COVID-19 is real, no? But life has to go on, no? And I think that is also the role of teachers and mentors, no? To be able to develop, no, if not enhance resilience in our students and our mentees, no? Our trainees. However, also, no, during this pandemic, we saw also the importance of understanding, mercy, and compassion as far as the teachers and mentors are concerned. So in PLM, we have a mandated 50-50 mix of the synchronous, asynchronous teaching strategy. And we are always reminded of that. No? The good part is that the extra time which is given for asynchronous gives the student and the trainee the feeling of having a break. No? They have reading time. So that in itself help them cope with the stress of the academic load during the pandemic. There was also regular grade consultations, and during this time of consultation, this became also opportunities for mentoring. So tinatanong, bakit ba mababa? Ano ba ang problema mo? And dito lumalabas, for example, na mayroong financial difficulties, may stress in the family, na COVID yung buong pamilya. So dito nakikita yon during the grade consultation. So unlike before that, well, we usually treat grades as grades, no, and we don't put a lot of importance on what goes on in the student. Now we are more aware of it, and so that's siguro a positive positive result of training during the COVID period. Also, we had a lot of academic and wellness breaks that were mandated by the university. Because we have this responsibility to our students and trainees, there was also a need for teachers and mentors to think out of the box. No? Paano ba natin tutulungan yung mga estudyante natin at ating mga residente, no? Our trainees? Well, one of the things that were done during the pandemic is this OB clinical clerk's hour, no? And this was a teaching time for more really for teaching history taking and proper approach to patients. But it also evolved into an unstructured sharing of experiences, thoughts, insights, and it provided a safe space for the clinical clerks during that time, no? As it was really private and confidential. And I'd like to share with you some of the feedbacks that were given by these clinical clerks. No? So sabi nila, it's and productive, not only for learning proper history taking, but also talking about our experiences. No? Yung pagiging mentor nung ating ating teacher, nakaka-validate, nakaka-boost ng motivation para magpatuloy sa clerkship. It inspired us to always do our best every day and to learn as much as we could with every patient. It has inspired us to keep on going, even if it is very difficult sometimes. That it is okay not to know everything at first, but it is our duty to learn as much as we can for our patients. The best daw during that time ng OB clinical hour is the muni-muni session. Kasi nalalabas nila yung kanilang saloobin na tinatago nila for a long time. Ito maganda rin yung insight nitong isang estudyanteng to. Sabi niya, doctors are portrayed to be perfect by society, but we go through crests and troughs day by day, and it is comforting that we as a group have the same sentiments and struggles. So parang dito sa OB clinical hour na to, maraming mga insights na lumabas din para dun sa mga teachers, no? So nakita namin din na very important talaga to engage the students not only in the clinical practice of medicine but also in the emotional aspect, no, of learning. So learning continued in the virtual classroom. So we used MS Teams. There were interactive lectures, case discussions, simulations, reporting, advocacy lectures, quizzes, long exams. No? And I'd like to show here lang yung mga posters of the advocacy lectures and layman's forum. So it provided our students means to engage with each other. So group work kasi ito, no? So they were able to engage with each other, and they were already looking at the needs of others, their patients, no? Kasi this was geared towards patients. So I think that in itself helped them cope with the pandemic, in that you think of others, no? And you move from just thinking about yourself and your needs to looking out for your future patients. So these were given virtually also. Now, this EINC return demo showed the creativity of our students. So I showed this before, in simulation, they used the materials that were within their reach, in their homes. So this box became the pelvis, and the baby was a doll, and they were and the student was able to show how to do an EINC delivery, filmed it, and submitted this video to the mentor, for evaluation. It was very difficult, to teach clinical data, and but we saw also during the pandemic that it was this was possible. Clinical learning was possible virtually. So these are just pictures of physical examination findings, and they were able to discuss it even virtually, and this is a sonogram, an ultrasound that was shown, and here we see the intraoperative findings. So nakita natin na yung clinical can also be adequately, well, of course there will be some difficulty because it's not really face-to-face, but it can also teach our students how clinical practice, even virtually. So pwede naman pala, pero of course there's still a lot to be desired, but it can be done. Ibig sabihin, the pandemic should not be a reason for us to stop learning. And I think our students continued to learn during the pandemic despite all these limitations. Coping also meant really using one's own personal resources. And we said earlier that wellness is a choice. And so yung mindset that life during the pandemic may not be perfect, and even outside the pandemic, it is not really perfect, but it can also be colorful and joyful. Like they became fashionistas. These are our residents. You can see that they were able to continue being the fashionistas that they were in even during the pandemic. The other thing, of course, is to be able to celebrate small victories and joys. And here, for example, our residents were able to take out a giant ovarian cyst, and they were victorious. And I think that also gave them happiness during that time. The pandemic also showed us that we have to be able to focus also on our self-care. And here we just show you the ways by which our residents were able to cope during the pandemic. They still celebrated Christmas. This shows them doing yoga. So self-care was evident, and given importance even during the pandemic. Well, during the preparation of this presentation, I came upon this concept of kintsugi, Japanese art of putting together broken pottery pieces using gold dust. This technique highlights that the scars are part of the design. And in fact, if we look at it, the repaired and embellished pottery is even more precious, and beautiful because it was broken. So it's a beautiful metaphor for healing ourselves, in the process of repairing things that have been broken, our insecurities, our failures. We actually create something more unique, more beautiful, and more resilient. And also, no, in this same book of Candice Kumai, she said that there are actually kintsugi practices that if we apply will ensure that we will be on our road to wellness. So what are these? No? Number one is wabi-sabi, admire imperfection. Life is not really perfect. Expecting it to be perfect is unrealistic. Number two, gaman, live with resilience. Instead of focusing on negative circumstances, look at these challenges as opportunities to learn. Yumaru, care for your inner circle. Healing through the strength and nourishment of friends and family. And we saw this message not only in the interviews of the men and women in the street, no, but also in the lectures and reactions that were given. No? Importante talaga to have that friends and family still present, no, even though there are stressors all around because of the pandemic. Yoshoku is to nourish your body. Nourishing from inside out is an important part of self-care. And in Dr. Jojo's presentation, it was clear that, well, diet, exercise, sleep are very important ingredients, no, that will ensure wellness. And finally, according to this author, this is one of the most important, if not the most important practice. No? That is kancha, or cultivating sincere gratitude. Practicing gratitude is also about living in the present moment and not wishing for things you don't have. So if you look at all these practices, we can see that we have actually been following it. We have been actually following them, no? Consciously or unconsciously. And wellness is actually the act of practicing healthy habits on a daily basis. So it cannot be just this moment or that moment. It has to be really continuously practiced to attain better physical and mental health outcomes, so that instead of just surviving, we are thriving. So with that, I'd like to just say thank you to Dr. Malihan for the Kamusta Ka project, Dr. Bautista for the Clinical Clerks Hour, Dr. Martin and the Department of OBGYN for the pictures of advocacy lectures, Dr. Rachel Castro for the wellness pictures, and our Dean, Dr. Angeline Alabastro. These are my references. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Wow, let's give a round of applause also for that sharing and that brief reaction and insight. Very inspiring. Very inspiring. Okay, so we're gonna ask our panelists to all open their videos. So Nikki, Techi, and Dr. Joe, and meanwhile, we're going to have, while they're doing that, we have a special public service announcement today.
Aloy, bilisan mo! Dali! Wala!
Ha? Ano nangyari? Ba't hindi kita makapitan?
Handa ka na ba, Kaloy?
Oo naman, ate! Nabakunahan na kami. May powers na kami laban sa inyo.
At hindi nyo na kami basta-bastang makakapitan. Yay!
Sisiw!
Kaya mga bata, magpapakuna na kayo.
Stay safe and stay well. Mga bata, magpasama na sa Bakuna Center. Thank you so much, TVUP. The COVID Communication Public Service Announcement is one of the many creative outputs of the Stop COVID that's teamed to push for pediatric vaccination for children aged 5 and above. Please share this video clip with all of your social media accounts. Stay safe and stay well. magpasama na po sa Bakuna Center. So let's get the ball rolling, Dr. Susie, and ask the first questions po.
Sige, let's go ahead. Raymond, I think I saw some interesting questions in the Q&A box. Let's start with that.
Okay. I think, well, let's get it from one of our regulars, Dr. Joseph Tortona. If coping or defense mechanisms can be taught, at what level of education will it be appropriate to start or begin teaching students of these types of coping or defense mechanism so that they can overcome stress? Yun po ang tanong ni Joseph Tortona. For Dr. Jojo.
Okay, Jojo.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. No, it's very good coming from a psychologically minded individual, I would say. No, so from our experience, I happen to be the one teaching about defense mechanisms in the college. It's one of my lectures, and we offer it to LU4, and LU4 is actually second year med proper. So this one is very helpful for them because it allows them to look at the unconscious. When we say unconscious, that means they're not aware that they are utilizing these defense mechanisms in order to cope with stresses. No, so usually it's part of our unconscious to mask certain emotions that are being experienced, especially if these are negative emotions. And this is when the defenses are up. So it's out of awareness. When a person is utilizing coping mechanisms in a conscious manner, in a deliberate and intentional way, they are no longer called defense mechanisms. They can be called coping mechanisms already. So in that spectrum, many individuals utilize. So defense mechanisms are normal. It's a normal part of our mentalization capacity. No, so that's something that can be taught, yes. So this is for med students, but I think even perhaps a kind of module that is attuned to the level of understanding of the students. I think even in college, it can be taught in the health sciences or even in the other social science subjects. No? So I hope I answered the question.
Okay, thank you very much. There was another question from the Q&A box, Raymond. Let's finish those ones first. Meron pang isa about mentoring. Diba?
Question is, how do they conduct daw po itong mentoring program na nasimulan po natin? For Dr. Jojo also.
Okay, yes, thank you. Thank you very much for that question. In fact, mentoring program is one of the top choices when we ask our survey respondents, what wellness activity do you want, and mentoring activity was really top on the list. So if it is for departments, usually they would divide the groups. It can be one-on-one mentoring, but since resources may not fully be available to have a one-to-one, one mentor is to another trainee, let's say. So it can be done in dyads, in triads, or even in bigger groups like the whole batch, and then we'll have one mentor, for example. So it depends on the resources and the volunteers, because mentoring work is dedicated towards really, it's a compassionate move, to help those who are in training, and usually this is given by seasoned, experienced doctors. So it's really out of their kind hearts, that they are willing to give time and effort to be able to teach their mentees. So there can be a matching process where those who have this particular profile can fit the profile of the mentor, and then they are matched accordingly. At the beginning also, you can do a mentoring needs assessment. What are the trainees' needs as far as what do they want to be mentored about? We also distinguish it from academic learning, because academic learning is different from learning about life, so to speak. And we hope it can be unstructured. So if, let's say, they say that they need the academic and the clinical part, that's fine. But outside of that, it can be covered. So for example, passions of, let's say, the doctor outside of medicine. So are they interested in the arts? Are they interested in the music? How do they, build their career path? So for example, so these things can be mentored by to a mentee by a mentor, a dedicated and willing mentor. So that's something that, of course, it's a program. It's something that can be done, let's say, for the entire training period. So it can be for the whole year, and it can be for the 3 years, let's say, of training. So it depends on what is agreed upon, and the frequency also of when they will meet up. So it can be done virtually, and then now with face-to-face interactions happening, people have started to see their mentees also outside. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jojo. Raymond, I was just thinking, we were talking about this in the preparation for this webinar. And that's why we said, para gusto kong bumaba, di ba? Parang, there are times when the students are not okay. And I wanted to direct this question to both Nikki and to Techi, not everyone makes it, okay? And there are probably incidents, without going into the details, there may have been incidents where one or two or a few, right, are not able to cope positively. And so I'd like to speak to that from the point of view of, how do you prepare your students for, what should I say, for not a 100% outcome among their peers? So let's say, a peer decides, bababa na, hindi na kasama, di ba? How do you prepare your students for dealing with that kind of situation? Because I know we're trying to keep it positive, right? But we also know na there are situations that are not necessarily as we would like. So I'll ask Nikki first. Nikki, go ahead.
I don't think din Nikki's in the call, Dr. Susie.
Ano ba si Nikki? O sige, Techi.
Nawala siya. Dr. Techi muna po.
Techi.
In our case, we have a mentoring program. And for the first year, enforced yun. Dinidivide talaga, tapos ina-assign yung mentor dun sa group. But in the second year, third year, they are free to choose the mentors that they want. And as I said earlier, sa grade consultations, hindi lang siya grade, kundi nandun na, ano bang problema mo? Now, to answer the question, paano ba kung hindi positive? First, yung mentoring group, they also provide support for each other. So yung sa mentoring namin kasi merong structured and unstructured. So yung sa structured, yung sino ka, ano ang love language mo, ano ka ba, religion ba, how do you cope with life, spiritual ka ba, anong klaseng spirituality, yung mga ganun. But there are also mga freewheeling na mga tanong. And yes, I had an experience already when ayaw na mag-continue,
Yeah.
Pero often yung group, yun ang nagsasabi na kaya mo pa yan, tutulungan ka namin, ano ba yung kailangan mo, Now, what happens kung talagang wala na, Kasi nangyayari talaga yun. I was assistant dean for some time in the College of Medicine. So I had to deal also with those people, those students who did not make it, and they are not promoted, But yun talagang pinaprocess yun. Bakit ba? Talaga ito bang gusto mo? Sometimes ang lumalabas, ang may gusto pala pamilya, O yung may gusto ng College of Medicine na ito sa PLM, yung pamilya din. Meron siyang gusto kasi nandun yung barkada niya. So we also talk to the family. We also tell them that maybe this is not for him. He's not necessarily not good. It's just that this is not his niche. And you probably will have to allow him to go where he wants. Sometimes ayaw nila talaga mag-medicine. So kailangan lumabas din.
Jo, how about really negative coping, like alcohol, other substance abuses, possibly even self-harm?
Doc Susie, the question is, what do we do when?
How do you prepare the other students for that?
Okay.
So if you have an individual with negative coping, I know you'll do an intervention, but that affects the rest of the group. That's my question. It affects the rest of the group. So how do you how do you prepare them, or how do you process that with them?
Okay. What we do is, for instances like this, when we find out that there are certain negative coping mechanisms or maladaptive mechanisms, if it is known to the group, we want to approach the student per se and to really reach out to find out how we can help. Especially if the student confided in another student, so we want them to not break that trust that they have with each other, but at the same we explain that when we reach out, we're really looking after the welfare. It's not to judge the person, but it's to help and to assist the person. So if it is substance abuse, so especially if it is if it is affecting their functioning, no? If it is already to the levels of alcohol dependence, let's say, because it is in excesses. If it is just moderate drinking, of course, even students, no, on weekends, if they have fun, if they want to celebrate, that's something that they are allowed to do as long as it is within moderation. When we have opportunities to talk to them, we actually give them information and talks also about recognizing signs and symptoms of psychological distress or mental health conditions. That way, they can detect if they are themselves suffering from these, or their peers, no, or their classmates can also help them recognize. And usually if they are open to each other, then they can support each other. Because that's what we want to build, no? A supportive environment within the college. We know that it's really very, very big, but the ones who interact the most with each other are the classmates, no, or the friends, or organization members, let's say. So we make it a point to reach out. Self-harm, of course, is very important, because if they are habitually or resorting to self-harm, that is already considered a red flag. And if that's a red flag, it's not to be normalized, or we don't want to say that it's okay that you are doing that, but rather it should raise the awareness in the individual and even in those around that the person needs help. And the earliest possible time that we are able to have access to help for this person, the better it will be for him or her. No? So
yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Jo. Okay, well, unfortunately, we are out of time. And Raymond, we have to go to answering of our fun quiz. Go ahead, Raymond.
Okay, can we have also yung sa Slido on the screen? There we go. For our very first question, we'll have what we usually do is we have the speakers provide their correct answers to this question. So I'll call in Dr. Jo for this one. What are the 3 goals of the wellness program?
okay, so I guess this question is a giveaway, no? Kasi what are the 3 goals na? So first, the promotive of mental health. That's very important. That's at the bottom of the pyramid, which means we reach out to everyone. We want everyone to focus and to take care of their health and their well-being in different levels, different aspects, particularly self-care as they balance their activities with their duties and responsibilities. And then we want to prevent, no, as early as possible. We want to counter burnout. So this is also a very important objective for them to remember, which means that if they are already experiencing some form of distress, even when it is mild, it's already good to even seek help, even from the resources available, whether it's a counselor, a psychologist, or pastoral care, if it is available in your place in your college, or in your hospital. And then finally, the last aspect, which is interventional, and that is allowing them to access healthcare services. Many of them sometimes hesitate or want to, but they don't know where to go. No, so we want to make sure that we disseminate the information. So I think TVUP is very good in also doing that, to disseminate the information on how to access healthcare services. The reality is that there are only a few psychiatrists available, no, compared to the number of people who need. So sometimes the lines are very long. And so we want them to anticipate this, because when you already need it urgently, we will already ask them to go to the emergency room because it is urgent already. It won't be on outpatient basis. But that's why even if it is starting and they seek appointment, then they will be able to get help in a timely manner. And that's what we hope for them. Thank you.
Thank you for the comprehensive answer. Question number 2. Which of the following are important resources for a wellness program? Alin-alin po ba dito, ma'am?
So, all of the above din, ano? So, lahat,
Yes,
lahat din.
okay.
Yes, lahat. So, all of them can be very helpful resources. Of course, these are human resources. Marami pa tayong ibang resources for wellness programs, no? So, tama lahat ang sagot.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Jo. So at this point po, no, we'll ask everyone, especially those in the Zoom, if you can see it, yung ito pong ating evaluation poll that we have right now. So this evaluation poll, I'm sure if you're able to see it on your screen, but hopefully you are. This evaluation poll is a 4-point Likert scale. It consists of 5 questions po. But in the meantime, habang sinasagutan nyo po yan, this will give some time for Dean Techi as well as for Dr. Jojo to come up with their maybe short messages as final messages to the audience po. No? So let me begin. For the first question, the panelists demonstrated thorough knowledge of the topic. Number 2, the panelists were well prepared and organized. Number 3, the panelists spoke clearly and audibly. Number 4, the panelists used appropriate language with technical medical jargons adequately explained. And finally, the panelists contributed to new perspectives and knowledge on managing various key health issues. We will not be sending out a separate evaluation poll. Ito na po iyon. So we hope you'll be able to participate and put in your comments and inputs po, at least dito po sa ating evaluation poll. We will not close this until the end of the webinar. Dr. Susie?
Thank you very much, Raymond. Okay, so Techi, your parting words for our audience.
Well, wellness is a choice, no? Whether it is pandemic or non-pandemic. It is something that we have control of. Now, as teachers and mentors, we can help our students and mentees reach for that goal and become successful in really reaching that state of wellness for themselves.
Thank you so much. That's Dr. Techi CADIZ-BRION of Pamantasan and Lungsod ng Maynila. Now we've got Dr. Jo from UP-PGH. Go ahead.
Okay. So we have just emphasized how important mental health and wellness is in our lives. No, this is something that we cannot take for granted. And of course, as doctors, because we are in the profession of caring for others, sometimes we do it very well, no? But more importantly, we need to take care of ourselves to be able to take care of others also. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to a closing remarks with the Deputy Director of the Philippine General Hospital, Dr. Stella Jose. Stel.
Good afternoon, everyone. For the closing remarks, as mentioned by Dr. Jojo LY-USON, the stressors during the pandemic for our students is the heavy academic load, the lack of social interaction, lack of physical activity, the inadequate learning due to less clinical exposure, so that's common from the students, and again, and financial stressors, difficulty with the work-life balance, uncertainty during the pandemic, and the adjustment to hybrid mode of learning. So we have the College of Medicine Wellness Program, and the goals are to promote resilience, to prevent burnout among the students, and to facilitate access to mental health and care services. Here at the UP-PGH, we also have the wellness program. It is a hospital-wide program for trainees aligned with the UP College of Medicine Wellness Program. And it is a holistic collaborative program which leads to nurturing, healthy, and safe environment, which rebounds to quality patient care. Okay, as you mentioned that you can be a wellness champion yourself. And I just like to add that here in the PGH, we help our financially troubled interns or the PGIs. They have free dorm accommodation, and also they have free meals and small allowance given by the administration. And I think this will also lessen their financial stress. So in conclusion, Dr. Jojo Uson mentioned that we have to acknowledge the toll of the pandemic and its aftermath on the well-being and mental health of our students and trainees. We should support them by providing care at any level. Both the UP College of Medicine and PGH Wellness Program is towards the promotion of well-being, resilience, prevention of burnout, psychological distress, and it is interventional for those with mental health issues. And we should curate a wellness program which can be based on the needs of the constituents and resources available. So let us all promote the wellness of our students, residents, and fellows by giving them respect, inclusivity, wherever we can. As for Dr. Noel Atienza, the Dean of San Beda College School of Medicine, he mentioned that the first-year medical students at the start do not even know each other. So there is really a difficult time in adjustment for the students. And the whole environment is not conducive to learning because of the pandemic and all its sequelae. And he mentioned that students had information overload. Now, San Beda created a program to obviate this. He mentioned the mindfulness and the road to wellness program and spirituality. I think spirituality really counts a lot. And when you have that, it's like one half of the problem is solved already. And he mentioned that the faculty received guidance on online environment. So remember that we're all faculty, we had to adjust to online teaching. Now, when it became face-to-face, changes occurred, and this added to the stress of the student. And he said that key factors are the faculty show to the students that they are available to them, and this opened the lines of communication with the students. So it is more toxic, he said, for the faculty, but it is very beneficial to the students. So teaching and learning and the feedback of the students were all noted. Okay, so for Dr. Teresita Brion, the former dean of the Pamantasan and Lungsod, Maynila, she mentioned importantly that wellness is an active process to which people become aware of and make choices towards a more successful existence. So they have a program called Kamusta Ka, or Are You Well? And they have the depression severity from no depression up to severe, in that spectrum, severe depression. And the purpose of all this is to understand the students better. No? So they send the student to the guidance counselor and to the psychiatrist if necessary. And Dr. Brion mentioned that the role of the teachers and the mentors we have to emphasize that COVID-19 is real and life has to go on. There's a need to develop and enhance resilience among our students. The role of understanding, mercy, and compassion, and that they had synchronous and asynchronous learning. So remember, at this time, everything seems new, and we have to have mercy and compassion for our students. So they had strategies that they mandated a 50-50 mix, and they had regular grade consultations. That really adds to the stress of students. But when you have consultations, these the students will know what their weaknesses are, and they had mentoring, which is really very laudable, and also the academic and wellness breaks. So she mentioned that we have to think out of the box. No, the problems are there, but if we think, we do not think inside the box, and the problems can really be solved. Back to you, Susie.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Stella Jose, Deputy Director of the Philippine General Hospital, for that excellent summary. And again, thank you to our guests who spent time preparing their presentations. You'll see the appreciation from in our chat box. And we hope that you'll continue to spread the word I think that for me, that is the message really, that it can be done in a more humane, in a very positive way that benefits all our students and our faculty. Next week, okay, we are going to talk about healthy eating during the holiday season. Pwede ba yun? Pwede bang healthy eating natin during the holiday season? Parang ang hirap, no? But we have an excellent guest. We're gonna have Virgit Buena, who is she's one of the well-known dietitians, nutritionists. She actually taught me how to make sinigang na bangos sa buko as a
bago yun,
Noche Buena, as a Noche Buena dish. It's so
Maasim pa rin?
healthy, maasim, pero may buko. Anyway, patikim lang yun, literally, sorry, naman, patikim lang sa inyo. But I've asked her to talk to us about some recipes for Noche Buena that are not so expensive, nutritious, and very, very enjoyable. So join us next week. We're trying to get a chef to join us. So tingnan muna natin kung sino makukuha. Bring your, yung mga kaibigan yung mahilig magluto. Ask them to come and listen to this. Kasi,
and recipe notebooks.
Kasi we're all worried na, naku, holiday na naman, non-stop eating. No, there's a way. There's a way to eat healthy. Okay, Raymond, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Susie, and thank you to Deputy Director STELLA for that succinct and very, very informative po na closing remarks and synthesis po. On the screen, you will see that at least 95% of those who participated in our evaluation poll strongly agree, and this is just a testament to their reception and appreciation po ng lahat po na natutunan po nila for this webinar. So thank you to Dr. Jojo Uson, to Dean Nikki Achenza, thank you sir, and to Dean Techi po. Maraming salamat po. But before we conclude our program, we'd like to remind you that all Stop COVID Deaths webinars are archived for viewing at the TVUP YouTube channel. So you will just go to www.youtube.com/TVUP-PH. At the same time, hindi lang po itong aming mga webinars po, no, na 126 ngayon, maging 127 na, but also ito pong ating very short and consumable videos that you already know that we call SCD Shorts. So ito pong mga to, nandun din po siya sa YouTube channel po ng ating TVUP. It's the same link. So you'd be able, maybe so since we're talking about bumababa at pumapara, maybe nagko-commute po kayo or may hinihintay in the waiting room, you'll be able to watch these very short videos po na with nuggets of wisdom na laman po nila. Okay? So, and then before we conclude, we'd like to thank the very hardworking team behind the Stop COVID Deaths webinar series. Without each and every one of you, we won't be able to churn out quality content each and every week po. So maraming salamat po sa bawat isa sa inyo. This formally closes our webinar for this week. We look forward again to your company in our next Friday po. Magkita-kita po tayo from 12 noon to 2 p.m. It's a date.
Together we can stop COVID deaths.
So keep safe, keep healthy, and see you online.